Hi folks, this is Dr. Rod at HealthQuest Cottonwood. I want to talk to you today a little bit about exercises you can do to help yourself out if you spend a lot of time at the computer. I know a lot of people spend all day long sitting in front of that stupid thing, and we just want to make sure that you've got the tools to keep your spine healthy while you're doing that. Now, the important thing to remember about sitting at a computer for a long time is you've got to keep your shoulders back on top of the rib cage. By sitting up straight and keeping your shoulders back, literally your shoulders stay on top of the rib cage. If you roll forward, if you slump forward like this, your shoulders will literally roll off the rib cage, and instead of the weight of the shoulders being distributed evenly around the front and back surfaces of the rib cage, it all gets carried from right about there, and you've got about 20 seconds before it gets on fire. Now, I'm going to give you some exercises to do. There's two exercises in a stretch. The very, very important thing to know about these is do not do one of these without doing all three. You've got to do all three of these at one time, okay? So let's look at the first one. Okay, now this first exercise, we're going to call it the wall press, okay? Stand up against the wall. You don't have to have your heels touching the wall, but I want your back up against the wall. And what you're going to do is you're going to bring your hands, put them against the wall with the elbows touching. It's very, very important. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But I want you to put your hands on the wall, bring your hands together, and then push up. And there will be a natural stopping point. That's called the muscular limits of flexibility. Now, when you get to that point, the next part of this exercise, we're going to push all the way through. We're literally going to try and touch the ceiling with our fingertips, all the while keeping our elbows back on the wall. So when you get to the muscular limits of flexibility, just push. I want you to lift the shoulders, straighten out the arms, and hold it for about a count of 5, 4, 5, and then come back down, okay? Now, keeping your elbows on the wall is very, very important. That's the only way you're going to work the trapezius muscle. That's one of the muscles that are responsible for keeping the shoulders back, all right? Now, if you get your hands all the way up, try this at home yourself. When you get your hands all the way up there at the top, just lift your elbows off the wall and you'll feel the difference. At this point, you're just sticking your hands in the air and waving them like an idiot, so you're not getting anything accomplished, okay? So, one more time. Back against the wall, hands above the head, touching, elbows on the wall. First stopping point, then push on through to the second stopping point. 3, 4, 5, and come back down. And you can do about six repetitions of that, okay? Okay, for the second exercise, we're gonna call it the beer can press, for lack of anything better. What you're gonna do is stand up straight, shoulders back, and you're going to just bend your elbows slightly, and you're just gonna bring them together. Now this has the effect of sticking your shoulder blades straight out. And from this point, what I want you to imagine is that you're holding a beer can between your shoulder blades, and what we're gonna do is, for the second part of this exercise, here's the first part, bringing it back. For the second part, we're going to try and crush that beer can. We're going to squeeze those elbows together, try and touch those shoulder blades, hold it for about a count of 5, and then come back out of it again, okay? Now, that works the rhomboid muscles. The rhomboids are those little muscles underneath the shoulder blades, and they also have a part in pulling the shoulder blades back. Okay, now this third exercise is really a stretch. All right, we're going to stretch the chest muscles. The problem is when you sit slouched, because the shoulder rolls forward, that shortens the distance that the chest muscle has to cover, and over time, like every day at work, the chest muscle will literally shrink. So we've got to stretch that chest muscle so that the shoulders can go back from the exercises that the other two accomplish. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to find a doorway. This one's a little bit wide, but just a regular doorway in your house will typically work. I want you to stand about a foot back from the door, arms straight, put your hands at about shoulder level, and then you're literally going to keep your head back, your back straight, and your knees straight, and you're just going to fall through the door and let your hands catch you. You're just stretching the chest muscles. Now you'll know when you're in the right position, when it feels like if somebody were to stick a pin into your chest muscles, they would just explode, okay? Now, we're going to hold this pose for about 30 seconds, okay? So very, very simple. Let it stretch. You'll feel yourself be able to sink in a little bit more. As time goes on, just let your body stretch into it. Now, you're going to do that exercise 30 seconds for every 5 or 6 repetitions of the other 2 muscles that you do, or the other 2 exercises you're going to do, okay? So, again, the rule, do not do one of these without doing all 3. Do the wall press, do the beer can crunch, and do the chest stretch in the doorway. You can do these 5, 10, 15 times a day, I don't care. Most people will do them if they're sitting at the computer and they start to feel that tightness there. Go ahead and do those exercises then. Okay, get up from work, take a break, do whatever you have to do, but do those exercises. That's going to help keep those shoulders back. It's going to help keep you upright, and everything's going to be much, much better when you're working on a computer. Okay, now let's look at making sure that we've got you seated at the computer properly. The one big mistake most people make is their chair's back a little too far, and because they have to stretch for the keyboard, they sit like this. And that's when the shoulders roll off the rib cage, and that's when you end up with problems in the mid-back. So most people are going to be a whole lot better off if they move their chair up a little bit, and you may have to raise and lower it so that you get your hands pretty well parallel, pretty well with the floor, and get in there close, sit with the shoulders back. Even if you have to move the keyboard up, to do that, you should be sitting upright, shoulders on top of the rib cage, not slouched off and rolling forward, but on top. And that way you've got your body in the right position. Now you want your monitor right about just below eye level is the best place for that. You don't want to be sitting like this. You might as well be working on your stupid phone. And you don't want to be looking like this if it's too high. So you just want to be sitting straight ahead, and this way you've got everything right here where you need. Arms are parallel with the floor, shoulders back. It's going to help you out tremendously.